Like he originally spoke Russian, and then he moved to the U.S. and was sort of like learning English on the fly. And you have mentioned there are different things that you feel like you're more comfortable writing about in English or Spanish, and there are different like means to both languages, like both different reasons why you would use them. Um, is there anything you notice about both English and Spanish, and is there what can you do when you're like jumping between the two languages?
Um, I guess like the biggest struggle that I have is that sometimes I need something written in English and sometimes I need something that I wrote in Spanish. Like for instance today, like my newer work is all in Spanish.
Mhm.
So what I brought is something that I wrote in November, but it's not necessarily my most recent work or
Right.
anything like that. And sometimes it happens the other way around that I have too much stuff in English at the moment and I don't have enough in Spanish. And so I try to write both kind of simultaneously. Um, but I don't know, like it's just like the narrative style is different, and sometimes like it's not that I haven't written like a lot of short stories and stuff in English because I have, and I have started novels that I probably will never finish in English. Mostly, like I must have like 10 novels that are like 20 pages, 40 pages in, and are kind of just there. Maybe one day I'll go back to them. But for some reason, I started writing this novel in Spanish, and it's the first one I ever started in Spanish, and like I like wrote it from beginning to end. And right now I'm mostly in the process of like editing kind of like the skeleton that I had built with this.
Mhm.
Which was kind of interesting. Like I felt like it was easier for me to find like my voice through like this Spanish narrative than it was through my English.
Very interesting. So, also with like you said, building a skeleton. So, is this part of your process? Do you like to flesh out like a vague part of like just an overarching sort of general idea of what you want to do with the story, and then add the details as you go?
I used to not like doing that, and like when I was younger, I would write like very detailed like three, four, five chapters, and they would be like like 6, 7 pages each, something like that. And like then what would happen is that I would get so bored from writing just those pieces that I would like, kind of forget like where I wanted my plot to go, like what I thought the ending would be. Um, Also, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that like every year I guess I get better at it. I practice more. Like I can't say that like the experience that I had when I was 13 is the same as
Right.
I'm having now, but I do think that it helped me out a lot to like just wanting to get the ideas down on paper and just writing it from beginning to end as fast as I could to get down like the main ideas. And then like at this point, like there's a lot of things that I see and I'm like, ah, this is crap, and I just throw it out. Um, but there's a lot of things like maybe like yesterday I was working on this chapter that I had already written and I thought it was done,
Mhm.
and it was like maybe 3 pages long, and I just like read it over and then like I just added this whole new section to it, and it became like almost this whole different thing while still like holding that idea that I had when I first built like the skeleton.
Very nice. So, it's a good technique. I
So
like this
yeah,
a
there you go. If
lot.
you want to write a novel, that's one way to go.
Remember this, kids. Um, so, do you have any peculiarities you have when you're writing? Do you need to have like a certain thing to write,
I
or?
have this weird thing where I can't write somewhere where the door is open because I have this belief that like all the thoughts that I have kind of bounce out of my head and like bounce in like the
They
walls and
bounce.
stuff, and like if the door is open, like I feel like all of this like energy and thoughts from other people are coming in, and like that's an open door where my thoughts go out, and I feel like I found it so hard to concentrate, and sometimes I think that that's so weird, but it makes so much sense in my head. I don't know if anyone ever experienced that.
I definitely know what you mean about like sounds coming in through the door, but I've never thought about it as my own thoughts exiting out the
Yeah, I'm like,
door.
cause I don't know, like I get easily distracted, I guess. So I just feel like I'm gonna start thinking about what is beyond the room that I'm in, and I'll forget that like I'm writing whatever it is that I'm writing.
Very interesting. Connecting it to the outside.
And yeah, like I don't know, like I like writing with a cup of tea, but it's not like I can't write without it. Um, and I usually end up writing like late at night. It's, I don't know why that is. I like it does happen to a lot of people that you wake up. I don't know, I've always kind of described it to myself. This is also gonna sound super weird, but it sounds like, to me it's like I get an idea and I kind of like I'm pregnant with this idea, and then like like your water just breaks and you have to go, and that's like how I describe that to myself, because I was like, I have no idea why this keeps happening to me, but it's 3 a.m. I'm like about to fall asleep, and then I have this genius idea and I wake up, I write it, and then the next day usually it's not even that good. But you kind of just need to write it down, because if not, when I don't, I'm like, God, this could have been like the next big thing, and I let it slip out, my hands.
So I understand that. Like with, I guess, to bring in a little bit of art history, there's some like surrealist painters who would work best if they hadn't slept in a while, and that's when they produced like the bulk of their work.
And also, like, sometimes I find it like easy to write about certain like pain or illness or stuff like that when I have a strong like headache. But it's also really hard to do because you can't really think straight with a headache. But like I have done that before.
And tell me a little bit about how this work turned out.
I don't even remember, so I guess that it didn't.
The pain was stronger than
I
the
guess so.
fiction.
But maybe I've been like more successful when I've had like milder headaches. The thing is, like, I usually always have like some sort of headache. Because like I have like chronic sinusitis, so it's like always something happening in my head. But I don't know, like I am sure that I have written with headaches before. I just don't remember a particular piece that I wrote like under like a very strong headache that like I thought was brilliant.
Did either of these pieces have any sort of headache involved with them?
I have a feeling that while I was writing The Art of Madness, the end I wrote it while I had a headache. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Wait, let me just. Yeah, and of course the character Amelia has a headache.
Yeah.
She feels like kind
So
of
there you go.
hungover. So it just manifests itself directly from Gabby's head into Amelia's.
I guess it sounds more real because I can describe the symptoms as I feel them in the moment.
And of course, you need to be experiencing something at any given time to, like, give it words. So, to take it back to these pieces, are there any experiences you feel that have really influenced you? Like any personal experiences?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, my love life has, because clearly everything I write is about like some sad love story. Not that it was that bad, but I don't know. Like, I guess that like since a very young age, like I've been like very like observant of things, and I'm like very like, I don't know. I just spend too much time in my head. Like I overthink a lot of things, and that's I guess why I ended up writing, and I just like writing character studies. Like just kind of getting into a head of like in someone's head and like trying to figure out why they act the way they do and why they do the things they do, and like I find that so interesting, and that's probably like from that whole like upbringing that I had, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So it's a way to empathize, especially. So.
I guess. I could have also been a psychologist, but here I am.
But there is a lot of psychology in here. So do you like study psychology at all, or?
I don't, but I hope I'll get to it because like as I was mentioning to you the other day, like I am almost done with my classes, and by almost done I mean like I have like 2 semesters worth of stuff left. But I did the math, and I see that I still have room to take some classes that I'll take just because I'm interested in it, and surely like like sociology or psychology would be in there.
But do you think having these theories in your head now competing with your
I don't know. I mean, because through like English literature courses and stuff, like you do get a lot from like history, art history, psychology, like you do explore like all these things. So I am sure like especially like Freud stuff, even though like everyone said that like Freud's like ideas all came like they're all based on like literary characters and stuff like that, which might not work for the real person but might work for me. But I don't know, like I feel like I have somewhat been exposed to this. But more than like learning exactly what psychological thing makes you like act this certain way, like I kind of like figuring it out on my own through like a study of people. So kind of everyone I meet, I'm kind of just like trying to figure out like why do you talk the way you talk, why do you say those things. So now I'm gonna have no friends or anything like that.
No, I wouldn't say that's true. But and I understand you've been reading Savage Detectives, which attempts to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's
literature.
like intensely postmodern. Like